Some mornings, a thought shows up before the coffee is ready, and it sits there in the chest like a small stone you know well. You look toward the window, the light is kind, and the house is quiet, and you notice that soft ache that says, I thought I'd be further along by now. Not in a dramatic way, not in a way that asks for a speech or a rescue, just a steady hum that's been with you on and off for years. It can visit while the kettle warms, or when you're folding a towel that's been washed countless times, or when the phone stays still on the counter and the day stretches out. There's no emergency in it. There's only the honest weight of an invisible timeline you've been carrying without even realizing it. You're not doing anything wrong. You're simply awake to your life, as it is, in this gentle morning light. For many people I know, the sense of being behind doesn't arrive with trumpets. It drifts in quietly while a cup is being rinsed, or a calendar is glanced at, one that doesn't get used the way it once did. It lives in those small comparisons that whisper instead of shout. You see a photo of someone's big celebration. You hear a neighbor's plans. Even the mail can do it. An invitation to something that once would have fit your season, and now you're not sure you want to go, or if you do, you're not sure how it will feel. That thought doesn't mean you're failing at living. It's simply the mind taking inventory as the years add texture to what once looked like a straight line from here to there. When we were younger, our sense of where we should be came from fragments, stories people preferred to tell, the highlight moments that got shared, the neat version of adulthood laid out like a path in a brochure. We didn't see the full lives behind those pieces, the nights when plans stalled, the calls that changed everything, the caregiving that reshaped schedules, the slow courage it takes to keep showing up. We learned a timeline from the surface of other people's days, not from their whole truth. Then life brings weather. It always does. Responsibilities shift the ground under you in ways you could not predict. You make room for a parent who needs more care than they want to admit, or for a child who takes longer to find their way than the school calendar ever promised. You make room for your own body too, when it asks for a gentler pacing and you begin to realize you cannot push past every signal anymore. The timeline you once carried quietly in your head does not account for these turns, and yet these turns are your life as well. They may even be the most human parts of it. As the decades move, priorities change in ways that look subtle on the outside but feel significant within. The thing once chased with urgency doesn't always taste the same years later. The center of the day shifts. A morning walk replaces the rush to the door. A long conversation with someone you care about matters more than the list that once felt important. When you glance back, the old script might insist an exit was missed, but there is no missed exit on a road you are still walking. There's only the path taken, because that is where your feet were. Sometimes I stand by the window, let the morning light slide across the sill, and give myself one quiet breath. It helps to separate who I am from what the old map promised. Those detours and pauses weren't failures. They were seasons of care, repair, and honest recalculation. The hidden cost of comparison is that it squeezes your view until all you can see is what didn't happen, and it dulls the warmth of what did. The quiet lunches you made, the steady hands that helped, the simple rituals that kept a home stitched together. None of that shows up in a headline, and yet it is the fabric of a life. There's a tenderness in the losses that rewrote your timeline. The friend who moved away, the role that ended, the dream that changed shape because you changed too. We don't always talk about those shifts, but they shape an inner landscape with more depth than any milestone could give. And when I think of the seasons that look like delay, I can see now that something was forming in the background. A patience, a way of listening, a wiser kind of hope. Depth often grows in the quieter soil. If you ever felt late to your own plans, you're in good company. Many of us have shouldered quiet responsibilities that don't announce themselves. The late night drives, the paperwork nobody wants, the calm voice in a tense room, the small savings put aside, the visit you kept making because it mattered. From outside, those acts can be invisible, but inside, they leave a steady strength. Being here took courage, even if you didn't call it that at the time. It took presence to keep going when the picture blurred. So when that thought arrives in the kitchen or by the window, let the light be your anchor and take that one easy breath. You are not the timeline that once tried to measure you. You are the person who walked through all of this with as much grace as you could gather at the time, sometimes clumsy, sometimes clear, but always real. And that matters more than any neat story we were handed before we knew how real life feels. Moving gently forward, we can explore a kinder way to meet this old feeling, one that allows the fullness of your days to count as the life it already is. Now, let's turn our attention to this feeling itself, not to wrestle it down or explain it away, but to see what it might be pointing toward. When it arrives, it can feel like a verdict, yet it's often more of a signal. It means you're awake to your life. You can see the shape of things. You care enough to notice where your heart is tugging and where it is quiet. That kind of awareness doesn't come early, it ripens with time. The heart already knows that life rarely moves in a straight line. It flows more like a tide. Some mornings, it presses forward with energy. Other days, it draws back and leaves room to breathe. You might find yourself returning to a familiar theme you thought you finished years ago. Money, purpose, companionship, health, and there you are again, but not at the same point. You're standing on a higher ledge with a wider view, bringing more patience, more context, and a steadier hand than the last time you were here. It's less a loop and more a spiral, each turn bringing a little more understanding. What we often call being behind is a shadow cast by an old picture that never accounted for the weather. The picture promised clear roads, matching clocks, tidy markers. The lived path has texture those plans couldn't hold, the unexpected caregiving, the job that changed shape, the heart that opened in a direction you didn't predict. The morning you woke up and realized your energy has its own seasons now. A younger schedule can't judge that fairly. It wasn't built for it. As the present becomes more vivid, old deadlines lose their glare. Small details begin to stand out. The way light lands on a table and makes hands look both older and kinder. The first sip of coffee on a day without urgency. The sound of a house settling, reminding you that staying still can be its own kind of progress. Gratitude grows here, not for everything, but for enough. There's also a kind of maturity that shows up like a gentle handshake. It lets you hold mixed feelings without hard edges. You can look at what didn't come to be and still respect what did. You can admit you wanted more or different, and also notice that your days have a weight and meaning that rarely show in public. You can smile at how complicated it all is, and in that smile, there's relief. You're allowed to be a real person with the layered story. I had a morning where I stood in the kitchen, staring at the pantry, certain there was something I came for, and then I thought, maybe I'm just here to rest my feet for a minute.
It wasn't profound, but it made me laugh.
And the laugh loosened the feeling that every moment has to prove something. Not every minute has to deliver a result. Some minutes are simply kind. When the thought returns, shouldn't I be further along? Let the breath meet the morning light and answer with a gentler lens. You are further along in ways the old picture never measured. Many people notice they decide more slowly now and forgive more quickly. They speak less, but when they do, it tends to matter. The path lived taught those things. They don't shimmer online, but they steady a life. So rather than treating the feeling like an alarm, let it be a bell that calls you back to the present. It can remind you to release comparison, to notice what endured, to honor the strength you built in quiet rooms. The tide will keep moving. You will keep meeting it, not with hurry, but with a wiser rhythm. There is a promise worth resting in while the morning is kind. You are not late to your own life. Your timing is your timing, shaped by real days, real people, and choices that made sense to the person you were then. There is room here for a quiet breath, for the light on the sill, for the truth. That presence counts more than tally marks ever did. If you let the old scoreboard fade, you might notice how your days carry a different kind of weight now. Not heavy, just steady. You know how to stay with a conversation that matters. You know how to step back when the room is too loud and return when the moment is right. You know how to be gentle with yourself when the body asks for slower rhythm. That's not falling behind. That's learning to live in step with a wiser pace. There's relief in choosing depth over markers. You can let meaning arrive in stillness, in care, in simple companionship. Sometimes the most important parts of a life are quiet. The check-in call you make every week, the soft reply you give instead of taking the bait, the way you keep a home that feels safe to the people who enter. Those don't announce themselves as milestones, but they are the threads that hold everything together. The weight of that invisible timeline can be set down, even if you have to set it down again tomorrow. Some seasons are for rooting, some for opening, some for mending what frayed while you weren't looking. Nothing about that rhythm makes you late. It makes you human. The worth of your days does not live far off in some distant marker. It sits right here in the morning light, in the breath you offer yourself, in the attention you give to what is already in your hands. As the house settles and the day begins to shape itself, you're free to move slowly, without checking an old schedule that no longer fits. There's a blessing in letting the day be exactly what it is, not what a younger plan imagined or what someone else is posting about right now. The morning is enough ground to stand on. Let the light at the window be your cue. One steady breath in, one steady breath out, and your feet under you. And if the thought returns, shouldn't I be further along? Just let it pass like a cloud and return to what is simple and kind. Wash the cup, open the door, feel the air. Small things are allowed to be satisfying. You are right on time for your life, as it is, right here. No race to run, no verdict to meet. Only this moment and the soft, honest way you are meeting it. Before stepping fully into the day, there's one more quiet note. Beginning again is a form of courage that does not ask for an audience. It can happen at any age, especially after 50, when there's enough wisdom to keep it simple. It might look like picking up a hobby once set aside, sending a short message to someone that says, "I was thinking of you," or taking a short walk after breakfast just to notice the trees you've passed 1,000 times. There's beauty in small beginnings that ask nothing loud of you. They do not require a plan or a promise. They only ask for presence. Many people share this feeling quietly, a wish to begin again in a way that fits who they are now, not who they once tried to be. You are not alone in that. So let the gentle promise meet you once more. You are not late. You are here, and that is a good place to begin.